Hello there! I'm Scotty. You're not. Let's finish this up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Let me be asking, Scotty, didn't you just do this a couple years ago? Isn't that a little too soon to do a revisited review? You're absolutely right. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in a minute. No, I'm just kidding. You're absolutely right. Usually that would be. Usually, might have been like 3 to 4 years. But, I said to myself, Kyle, that's what I call myself. I said if I'm going to do these, I'm going to do all the theatrical ones, and I'm going to count this one as well. So, and there was a point during watching it, I was like, do I really need to do this? I don't know. I have not watched this about 3 times, I think. I got a steelbook here. Yeah, I own 2 copies of this movie, which is surprising, being is that when the trailer first came out, I was heavily against this movie. Poster, which I haven't put up on the wall yet for obvious reasons. Yeah. So first of all, I heard about Seth Rogen trying to make a Turtles movie, and I assumed it would be live action. But then the trailer came out, and I'm like, "Is this the one? What is this?" And it said "Meet Mayhem." Okay, so I watched the trailer. And then Seth Rogen's name was on it. I'm like, oh, okay, so this must be. I thought it was live action. I guess it's animated. Sure, why not? And then I saw the animation and I went, they're cut. It's not exactly one for one, but they're copying Spider-Verse. They're trying to copy Spider-Verse using that animation style to do it. And there's been no test footage where people. That Batman Beyond animated film that they want to do that's in the style of Spider-Verse, and we don't need everything to be in that style. It threw me off. And then, the big thing that threw me off, well, it looked like they were changing continuity. Shredder was nowhere to be found, but Baxter Stockman was on the cast, and then there was a bunch of other mutants, including Bebop and Rocksteady, which still made no sense. Their own continuity. The voices of the Turtles threw me off because you have like little kids voicing them, and I'm like, but that's not the Turtles. I get it. They're teenagers. So they're going to cast teenagers to play the roles. That's different. You don't have 30-year-olds or whatever they were playing the role, 25-year-olds like Corey Feldman was back in the day. But I don't know. It threw me off because it didn't sound like the Turtles. Because to me, the Turtles don't sound like kids. And then the big one. I don't know what their obsession with making April black is, but it needs to stop. I will give it to them. They at least made her hair red. I noticed this time watching it, her hair is red, so they at least did that. But, enough. April is not black. Look at the comics. She's white. People go, but they didn't throw a big film back to Stockman ended up being black because he was black in the comics. April never was. So, stop it. That's one of the reasons why, if I'm doing my timeline, after the 2016 film came out, didn't do so good. The 2012 series finished up, and then Nickelodeon released the abomination that was Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I never watched. Mostly because they made April black, and I'm like, well, who is this? Is this Irma? Because she had glasses. She had glasses in this too. Make Irma black. That's fine. I don't care. But no, not April. And yes, the characterization of her in this is a little... did we need the puke joke twice? I don't know. It's just, she tells a story to the Turtles early on about how she's puke girl because she tried to do the school news and ended up puking. But then later, in a scene that should be about her overcoming her fears and, coming together and be like, hey, I'm doing this. The Turtles, they're the good guys. No, they throw in a puke joke for laughs. And this is Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who know how to write comedy. That was not the right time for a funny haha moment. She's up there conquering her fears, which means she shouldn't puke. Other than that, some of the casting is pretty good. Paul Rudd as Mondo Gecko. I heard people say we could tell it's him. Yes, you can. I can tell it's him. He's Mondo Gecko. I also like Hooray Philly. I don't know who does his voice, but it's, John Cena and Seth Rogen as Bebop and Rocksteady, respectively. They're alright. They're not themselves, but Ice Cube as Superfly. So apparently, this might be just a rumor, apparently Baxter Stockman was supposed to be the main villain, turning into the Fly, whatever. But they just, for some reason, they changed it. I don't know why. I don't know. Paramount just doesn't want Baxter Stockman to become the damn Fly. And I'm watching this here, and like, why couldn't he become the Fly? What is the big deal? Why couldn't he turn into the Fly character? He could be Superfly. I don't care. But by far the best character in this movie, Jackie Chan as Splinter. You can have anything you want, as long as it's pizza. They are going to find you, and they're going to milk you. Which seems like a running gag that he's too protective, but then, and a bit of funniness that I actually like, that's exactly what happens when Cynthia Utrom say it again. Cynthia Utrom kidnaps the turtles and tries to take the ooze from their bodies. Like the guy who wanted to be stupid rich wanted to. But the name, I wouldn't have hated if she was just a gender swap Bishop. If you don't know, Bishop is an Utrom who has been in both the 2003 and 2012 versions of the show. In 2003, he's a good guy, but in 2012 one, he's the bad guy, I think. If this was just a gender swap version of Bishop, that's fine. But the color Cynthia Utrom is a bit on the nose. Because I'm expecting a crane to come popping out of her. You know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, she's fine. They also gender swapped some others. I don't know about Scumbug, which, by the way, that was a bit of a controversy because Scumbug came out and the poster said it was a he, and then in the movie, Scumbug is making out with Master Splinter, and everybody was like, "No, you made Splinter gay. You made Splinter gay," and it turns out, no, that was a misprint. It's a female. It's a female, and that was a misprint on the poster. My bad. Yeah. Honestly, though, I thought about this watching it. I'm like, who cares if Splinter is gay? To be honest, I don't know. People are gonna get up in arms. Hasn't been. I don't know. With Jackie Chan doing the voice, I think it might work. Just the way he's talking, walking around. I don't know. And so the other ones they gender swapped are the Bat one, which I think was originally male, and then Leatherhead, which is notoriously a male. The thing. They kill it. Besides the one bug, they got these flies that are just these weird looking flies that are just sort of round. Anyway, I think I got it. Leatherhead, they made female and Australian and voiced by Rose Byrne. Okay, so here's the thing. Leatherhead, male. Cajun, not Australian. You better believe it. He's Cajun, not Australian. Okay? That said, Rose Byrne was fine in the role. It's just not, And another thing I want to talk about is you have all these villains or characters that would be cool to see. Like one of the frogs is there. Genghis the frog, I think, is there. I have a frog. I don't know which one it is, though. Like, I'm thinking of all these cool things. And even with the post-credit scene where it's like, oh, we're teasing this character. Okay, cool. But you wasted a bunch of other characters that could have been like Bebop and Rocksteady. I'm sitting here watching it going, why are Bebop and Rocksteady here? Right? So it's the end of the film. So this is not going to be talking shot for shot. I did that in my other review 2 years ago. That's pretty much in the same style. I'm just kind of going. So there's a point in the film where Ice Cube Superfly, they turn against Superfly. I don't think they all should have turned on him. Because now they're all living in the sewers and shit. I think it should have been Bebop, Rocksteady, Leatherhead, maybe the Bat. All stay with Superfly. And their fates are left up in the air. Or, I thought an idea when I was having lunch. That Bebop and Rocksteady aren't in this movie. But, or at least not traditionally. You'll have two members of TCRI. One has like a blonde haircut. The other one is the other one has a mohawk, and they work for TCRI. They're agents of TCRI. And that's them, sort of. And then in the next one, when they bring in the Shredder, Cynthia Utrom decides that she's going to take her two best guys and turn them into mutants to aid Shredder. Bebop and Rocksteady. See what I mean? Although they're not two of the best guys, I would say. I don't know. Or maybe they would recruit thugs and those two would be there. You could show them robbing someplace and the Turtles stop them in this movie to introduce. Those are the characters that will become Bebop and Rocksteady. You could do that. I don't know. I don't necessarily think they needed to be a part of this because now they're all living in the sewer, like I said. And the less I see of Splinter making out with Scumbug is. The animation, as much as I was iffy on it, is not bad. Like, especially when Superfly ends up mutating with all these animals, and just the way he looks is just great. It's just, look at me. I got a whale for a face. I got giraffe for a forehead. Oh yeah, Superfly, baby. That sounded almost like Bebe's kids. Test tube, baby. The way I did that, but just Superfly, Ray Filet. But the single best sequence in this movie is a sequence where the Turtles realize, hey, we can't go along with this, so we got to figure out a way to get this last piece that Superfly needs away from him. So they say, okay, hey, here's what we'll do. We'll take it and we'll follow you. And he's like, all right, but take these 4 guys with you. That's my Ice Cube impersonation. So they're in there, and you got Mondo Gecko is driving. He's like, oh, you can drive? No. Ray Filet is in there, and I think Bebop and Rocksteady are in there with him, I think. And it's one of those things that the music goes from diegetic to non-diegetic. It's all together. They start listening to that. And I say, hey, yeah. So it starts, that's all. So it starts off on the radio. They're listening to it. They start singing to it. And then all of a sudden, Donatello uses his bow staff, hits the brakes, and it becomes non-diegetic to where it's plays, as background music, as actual music throughout for the film, not just on the radio. And it's this thing. And then it becomes like a remixed version where now Superfly is chasing them as they decided not to, so it's, and they're fighting. It's the best sequence in the film, I think. It's pretty cool. I also like when there's 2 other points I want to talk about. The Ferris Bueller scene where they go to a drive-in, which I guess is still thriving, at least in New York. And I know that they still have them out there somewhere. But so they're watching it and they're just talking about, we want to do that. And one of them goes, yeah, if we were human, we could stop parades whenever we wanted. And I'm like, that's not how that works. But yeah. But I also want to point out inconsistency because they were in the middle of the Donkey Shane part. And as they go to walk away, it's now in the twist and shout. Come on, baby. Like in the middle of it. Like they didn't miss that much of the movie walking away. And then there's the scene where they come home, or they're paged home, I guess, and Splinter's there, and he's got the three Chris's: Chris Pine, Chris Evans, and Chris Pratt, I think, or Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth are there, and what I like is that Chris Pine is just in his Captain Kirk suit because Paramount owns Star Trek, so we'll just put him in that. The other two in regular suits, but Chris Pine's in his Star Trek suit, and they also blend some real stuff like the Ferris Bueller thing. It's the real film. It's not animated, and these are real stand-up cardboard stand-ups. They're not animated. So I like that. I don't think that the TCRI, for their part, it's too obvious what they do with them. Like, oh, they're gonna capture them, they're gonna milk them. It's been a running joke, sure, but like, it really is just there. I think because they're having problems with Superfly after that chase. Superfly gets the piece, but then they get captured, and it's really just so that the film can make its 99-minute runtime. It's 90 minutes. It's not that long, but this does feel like we needed a filler, and they went the obvious route by saying, oh, well, they just get captured, and they try to milk them, because we've been teasing that joke throughout the movie, right? Have them get milked. And the Splinter shows up to save them, and I do like this because then April has to introduce herself and kind of do that, and then eventually Splinter realizes he's just like Superfly. He's hating humans for no real reason. Oh, another thing I want to point out, I do kind of like this. They learned, so again, they didn't use the actual origin from the comics or from the other movies, just like the 2014 one. So how do they know martial arts? Well, and this is better than reading it from a book that's in Japanese and somehow knowing how to understand the book. They watch old kung fu movies, specifically a lot of Jackie Chan movies. I wonder why that is. I don't know. The world may never know. But I like that. Where it's like, because they're teenagers, they're kids, they grew up watching these movies, and now they can movie. It's like a kid that watches wrestling and tries to put their little brother in a suplex. Shut up. We used to wrestle around. Yeah. Until one of us went flying off the bed, usually him. One time me, and because I'm fat, it kind of shook. I was like, what are you doing? Nothing. You guys aren't allowed to wrestle. Which, I wish we just would have been able to, because I wasn't going full contact with the moves. Like a suplex, I do it onto the bed, not onto anything hard, I put them in a headlock. I don't squeeze down. I just go like this, right? No pressure, not really any pressure. I'm not putting any pressure into my moves. I know what I'm doing, right? I know that the product I watch on TV is no real, so I make sure what I do is no real, okay? I guess I couldn't be trusted. There's a couple of times he got hurt. I put him in a cross-faced chicken wing, and his one arm was in the chicken wing. I got wrenched too much, and that hurt. But the cross-faced chicken wing, I put my son in that too. But I learned from my lessons with my brother where I don't tweak it too much. So, you live, you learn, and then you get loves. I don't want to talk about diapers. Anyway. Yeah, so it's like that. You watch it on TV, you learn it. So to watch an old kung fu movie, specifically Jackie Chan, maybe a couple of Jet Li, who knows, and they learn, that's how they learn a ninjutsu, I guess. I like it. It's different. It's better than I found this book in the sewer, and I learned from that. But it's entirely in Japanese, so how did you learn from that? Did you just use the pictures? But, And for much that I doubted it, I do think Superfly is a good villain. But the fact that they had to mutate him to make him bigger and badder makes it feel like they looked at the way he was and was like, like this, he's really not that big of a deal. I mean, there's that scene where they all rebel against him and they're all pushing him back. you know? Because the turtles talk the other mutants, all of the other mutants for some reason, into turning against him. And he does hold them off pretty well, but then they mutate him. And I do like that it was his green in this one. As it should be. So yeah. But yeah, I don't remember what I gave it last time, but I'll give it a little pretty good. I like it. It's not one I'm gonna go back and watch often, but it's something that if it's on, I'm not gonna hate that it's on. You know, my son says, "Hey, I want to watch that new Turtles movie." But, okay, sure, I'll put it on. Why not? You know, I was pleasantly surprised. I will tell you this: if we did not take my son to see this movie, I probably would never would have watched it. And then, when I had to do this series, I would have to buy probably just a DVD copy so I can do it and review it, because I do the theatrical ones. But, lo and behold, I now have 2 copies, a regular Blue Rizzle and a Steelbook. So, and yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem? Leave me a comment below. You should like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.